All right, big weekend, pretty busy week coming up. Let's jump straight into it. Dennis Shanahan, National Editor at The Australian, as always, joins me on a Monday night. Dennis, let's start, if we can, with New South Wales. Chris Minns brought Labor out of the cold and back into government after 12 years. We still don't yet have a confirmed majority government for Labor. It looks very likely, of course. We'll talk to Tom Connell for the latest wrap on the seats. The Teal threat, though, completely bombed. A fair enough showing for One Nation. We haven't yet got the numbers out of the upper house. Certainly a rough night for the Liberals. Matt Keane, I noticed with Sharry Markson just before I came on air, is touted as looking at federal politics now, that he may well move into a lower house seat. Expected retirements at the end of this current federal term. He ruled himself out of the leadership. He was mentioned in dispatches all the way through the Vox Pops that we saw on air last night. We know that he got a drumming in the polling, and net negative numbers I haven't seen in double digits going into Saturday. Give us your take on a big weekend.
Oh, well, look, there's no good news here for the Liberal Party. It's good news for the Labor Party. The numbers are still reasonably close. Chris Minns is expected to get a majority, but the numbers are very slow, and in the upper house it's still very early. So I think that, yes, Labor has had a good victory. I think that state Labor has had a good victory. I know Anthony Albanese obviously wants to talk up about the impact of federal Labor on the election, but this was very much a state government issue election, and it was very much about the Liberals being there for so long. Dominic Perrottet suffered a bit, I think, from appearing to be too left for the Conservatives, and he certainly wasn't left enough for the lefties. So the Liberals basically had a big problem. It's interesting to see that the Nationals in New South Wales only lost one seat, so they've done very well. Again, Keane is seen as, the woke person. There is still a Senate vacancy to be filled from New South Wales. So watch this space as far as Matt Keane is concerned. But I think that the times ahead will be tough for the Liberals at the New South Wales level. And I think this is another, in fact, the final evidence that Peter Dutton really needs to do what he can to reform the Liberal Party at the state level. Otherwise, he will suffer at the federal level.
Yeah, I'll get into this with Tony Abbott in a moment, but it's not just the values and the policies too. It's the mechanics of the division. It happened in 2010 and it's happened in every federal election since. New South Wales' pre-selecting candidate literally the night before in winnable seats. We saw in Kiama. They had 12 months to put someone in there when they knew things went south with Gareth Ward. It's diabolical. They imported this time round in this contest Scott Morrison's office basically to run this campaign. It didn't end well for Scott Morrison and it hasn't ended well for Dom Perrottet. They need an organisational clear-out, surely, Dennis.
Oh, well, I think that's what I'm saying about Peter Dutton. They need to get in and try and say, right, not only New South Wales, obviously, Victoria, Western Australia, South Australia. Western Australia is a joke for the Liberal Party. And so I think that this will come back on Peter Dutton if he doesn't act between now and the federal election, which could very well be at the end of next year.
Can I just get your take? You're a gallery veteran. Daniel Andrews, his 7th trip to China today. We know it's a fractious relationship despite a thin veneer of civility. We know all of his issues with Belt and Road. Are you surprised by his decision to announce this and basically leave the next day and not take a media delegation?
Well, I think it is a pretty extraordinary decision not to take media. I can remember back in the days when I was at the New South Wales Parliament, Neville Wran would make regular trips overseas. He always took the media, even those he didn't particularly like. But he knew that it was all about getting a positive message across for New South Wales. Now, obviously, Dan Andrews wants to get a positive message across for Victoria, but it's actually only going to be an aggrandisement for the Premier, because very little will be known about what else is going on, and it will all come from him and the Chinese about what is a result of these meetings. So I think that it's important, of course, that an Australian leader at state level get to go to China. There's no doubt that he should go, but I think that there's reluctance, a refusal to take media on the trip when we could do with some real media coverage out of China from the Australian media. I think it's not good in the national interest, and it's certainly not good, I don't think, in the Victorian interest as well. This is meant to be a Victorian state government opportunity to open up relations with China.